Hello and welcome back to episode. Wait, what? I don't know what episode this is. 5. This is episode 5, I think, of the Bedroom Club podcast. Thanks for joining me. If I haven't met you already, my name's Adana. Nice to meet you. If you know me, nice to see you again. I would like to say, before we get into today, 2 things. 3 things. Sorry, I don't know why I did 3, all weird like that. But thing number 1. I don't know if you guys like the lighting. I don't think it's too bad. I don't think it's too bad. I still feel like there's this white sort of haze situation going on because of the window in the back. But this is just the situation we're in right now, guys. Thinking about buying a camera. I think I talked about that the last episode, that I might actually buy a camera for this. I don't think it's too bad, but I also recognize it's probably not the best. Number 2. I have work in an hour. I have work in an hour. And I need to leave for work in an hour, basically. I'm putting myself on a little bit of a time crunch. I'm hoping that I can talk a little bit more succinctly and concisely, because typically I have trouble doing that, which is why it also takes me so long to edit. Usually it takes me like an hour-ish to record. Last time it took me like an hour and 12 minutes. Today's topic, I think I'll be able to get through it if I don't go off on a tangent here and there and here and there and here and there, which I have the tendency to do. So hopefully it all turns out okay. Thing number 3 is that it is 10 a.m. in the morning. And typically I would not record at this time. I feel like I usually would record at night. This is still really early. If it looks or sounds like I just woke up, it's because I did. I do think that my voice sounds a little bit gravelly, no? Maybe it's giving cool, raspy voice. I always wanted that. With all that being said, we can go ahead and get into the topic for today. And it's episode 5. Today is the long-awaited, because I know you guys care so much, COVID episode. I don't even want to talk about COVID low-key, because it's like, haven't we talked about COVID enough? Can we just let it go? Leave it in the past? I do think it's worth it. It had a big impact on my life, so it's worth talking about. Oh, thing number 4 that I completely forgot about, but today is Thursday. Y'all know these episodes come out on Fridays. I have work from 11 to 5 o'clock. So I'm not going to be able to edit until after 5 when I get home. I have something to do at 8:30 tonight, from 8:30 till probably 10 o'clock. And I have something to do tomorrow early, an all-day thing tomorrow, which means that just know that this episode's coming out on a time crunch. I'm pretty sure I had said that for the last one too. I'm going to get my life together every single day, weekend of this month. I have had something going on, some event, something to do, which I don't mind. I like being busy. Honestly, it's been fun, but there are just certain things that I have not been able to do, and this has become one of them for this month. I'm still getting the episode out, you know what I mean? Y'all are still gonna get it, but it's a push to get this one out for sure. Anyway, back to the topic for the day. COVID. Where was I with COVID? See, this is why it takes me so long to record, because I forget where I'm at, and then I go off on a tangent here and there and here and there. Nobody wants that, queen. I feel like I talked about COVID a lot during COVID. I was talking about it in my friend groups and at work and at school, and it's just like, you're done. Hopefully this can be the last time I talk about COVID at length in this way, and then we're done. We put it down. Put it down. Anyway, let's jump right in. So what I really wanted to talk about in terms of COVID was how it affected 2 major parts of my life. The first being, I think, my education, and the second being my personality or interpersonal relationships. When I say COVID, I mean specifically isolation, not getting COVID, although I did get COVID. Guys, I got COVID. I did not get COVID while COVID was at its height. I tested many times because there were multiple times that my people at my job got COVID and I was in contact with them, but I tested negative every single time. In December 2023 is when I got COVID, which is kind of crazy because it was not at its height at that point. My sister gave me COVID, and she will deny it, but it is true. She gave it to me because she tested positive before I did, and I was in a car with her all the time dropping her off to school, and then I got it. Let me preface this episode by saying that I know COVID was, like many people passed away from it. It was not a fun time. So anything that I say, if it makes it sound like I think it's a lighthearted thing or that I think it's not still like going around today, please don't cancel me. I don't mean for it to come across that way. That's not what I think. I'm just talking about how COVID affected me. Just know that I'm not trying to make COVID sound funny or lighthearted. I just need to talk about my personal experience with COVID, isolation, etc., etc. She tested positive, and then I was like, okay, I still feel fine. But then a couple days later, sore throat came in. I was like, okay, this doesn't feel great. I don't know. It feels very heady. Headache central is what I felt. And like migraine vibe. And yeah, I remember being in my classes. I had a mask on, but I remember being in my classes being like, this ain't right. But my tests were coming back negative. And then finally, one day it came back positive. And I was cooked. I will say I had it for the full 2 weeks. I think because I hadn't had it before, maybe. I also hadn't gotten a booster in a really long time. I wouldn't say the symptoms lasted for the full 2 weeks. But definitely like my tests were still coming back positive. Like after a week, maybe I felt fine. But the test was still coming back positive. Now, in terms of isolation, let's just start way back at the beginning, maybe. Because I feel like the isolation time of COVID, like when we were doing everything online and virtually, that's when I felt the greatest impact of COVID in my life. I graduated class of 2020, and before I even get too deep into that, class of 2020 were good, okay? No prom, no grad. I don't mean to sound like, I don't want it to sound like I'm still harping on not getting those things. Just trying to set the scene. March 2020, I'm a senior in high school. I'm finishing up a lot of like what feel like the last of things. Like, I think I talked about this in episode 1, but I did theater and chorus. We were in our second to last week before our final show. Chorus, we were preparing for our last like concert, last festivals. March 13th hit. They said 2-week break. 2-week break became you're off for the rest of the year, which then became your first year of college will be fully online. So I feel like obviously, I think everybody's life changed though, but at that time in my life, like when you're finishing up senior year, thinking about college, thinking about where you're going to go, what you're going to do, who you're going to try to be in school, all of that was happening during COVID. So I think specifically education-wise, I made specific decisions. I won't say fully based on COVID learning, but partly based on my experiences in senior year and like the type of person I was in senior year versus who I am now, which we'll get into why I think that change happened. I remember being a senior in high school and deciding where I wanted to go to school. And my final 2 options really were a school in New York. I live in Maryland, by the way. So my final 2 options were a school in New York where I would have, what would I have studied, guys? Honestly, who knows? I really wanted to be a lawyer when I was in high school. And so the school that I wanted to go to in New York had a law school. So I thought maybe I could get my undergrad at like the main university and then go to that law school. So I was deciding between that school in New York and the state school and University of Maryland. I'm pretty sure I've already said that I went there anyway, but there were a lot of pros and cons to going to each school. Like, I really wanted to get away from Maryland and get away from home and just be independent. I feel like in high school, my mom was pretty strict, you know, which is fine. It's fine. It's all good. But because she was a little bit more like, I really wanted to get away from home. And New York felt like the place for me at that time. Like, I really was like city life, city living. Like, that's what I had in my head. I do think in high school, because I felt very like I couldn't do anything, which I'm also probably over exaggerating a little bit, but also not really. I wasn't allowed to do too much or like hang out with people much. And if I did hang out with people, like I often got in trouble, even though I was not actually doing anything bad. And if you know me in high school, you know I truly was like goody two shoes, so they say. I was not doing a single thing that my peers were doing. I do understand from a parent's perspective though, like, you know that kids in high school, they can get rowdy. My friends were getting rowdy, don't get me wrong, so I guess I understand, but I was not someone who was easily influenced or peer pressured at all. So I was not doing anything that my friends were doing. I'd be around them, we're cool, you know I'm not doing that, I know I'm not doing that, and let's just leave it there. And that was never an issue for me in high school. So I feel like sometimes I'm like, just let me be, just let me be. I knew that, but how does your parent know that you're being good? So I get it. Because I felt a little bit controlled maybe, or like stuck at home, I wanted to branch out, go to New York, kind of live alone in a big city. Specifically my middle school did trips to New York to like go see Broadway shows. So I had been to New York twice already. Also, I was actually born in New York, but I didn't really live there for very long. So I feel like I would never be like, I'm a New Yorker. I was born there and I lived there for a few months, I guess, when I was a baby. But so I just feel like really connected to New York and like it's my hometown. No, I kid. I'd always wanted to go to New York, basically. University of Maryland was the smarter choice in the end. 100%. It was cheaper. The school that I was looking at in New York did offer me scholarship money, but it was a lot, but it wasn't enough to justify not going to University of Maryland. I was going to study business, I guess, either way, because I was trying to study business and then go to law school after, which is not happening right now. University of Maryland's business school and the school I was looking at in New York, UMD's is statistically like the better school. Mind you, again, I'm making this decision during COVID. I'm making this decision knowing that my first year, wherever I choose to go, is likely going to be virtual. And so really the decision came down to like, go to New York, spend more money to like live on campus, but take classes fully online at a school that's statistically not better than the one at home, versus stay closer to home, take your classes online, because you're gonna have to do that regardless, and go to the better school. So I feel like for those reasons, UMD was the obvious choice. If I had chosen to go to New York, it literally would have just been an experience-based decision, which, as much as I wish I could have made that decision, it like wasn't the smartest one. And I'm okay with that. I did want to go to New York, but it wasn't heartbreaking to have to go to UMD. So many of my high school classmates went to UMD that I was friends with, so I felt really comfortable going to UMD because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to stay home, but like, look, all my friends are going. I also really liked the idea of going to a school that had major campus culture, I guess, where like there's football games and basketball games and all these different events and stuff like that I wasn't sure I was gonna get at my school in New York. I think I would have had a great experience, but it just would have been more going out in the city versus like doing stuff on campus, which at the time I was making this decision when I was in high school, I feel like my personality was a lot more, I don't know if bubbly is the word, but I definitely was more involved in stuff and was more social, I would say, in high school than I am now. And not to be like, oh, I was in so many different clubs, but I was in enough different clubs with different people. Because I feel like COVID ravaged my social nature, me picking a school where it is so social ended up meaning nothing. I purposely chose UMD partly because I was like, yes, this is perfect. Like, I'm gonna meet so many new people and have so much fun at games and do XYZ. And like, none of that happened because by the time I got on campus at University of Maryland, I was so introverted and like socially anxious, I would say. I actually never went to a single game. I don't know, guys. The things that I was picking UMD for, I actually never took advantage of. Even the business school, I feel like I chose the business school because I knew it was better. I knew it had a lot of opportunities. I didn't take advantage of any of them. Maybe one day we'll see if I regret it or no. I was so disillusioned with business and with the business school. I did not care. I just kind of got stuck there. And like, don't get me wrong, I studied marketing, so I feel like marketing's fun. I don't hate it. I still am doing it, mind you. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's just like, wasn't the thing that I was most passionate about. I was mainly just choosing business as a road to law school. But right now I don't really have plans to go to law school. So it's like, did I make the right decision? I don't know. You can choose anything before you go to law school, you know what I mean? Most people choose liberal arts sort of subjects, sociology, history, English, stuff like that, philosophy. And I honestly 100% would have chosen those, but in talking to my mom, and she was right about this one, but it was important for me to choose something that even if I decided not to go to law school, which is kind of what's happening right now, I would still be able to find a job. And at the end of the day, if I was a philosophy major and I didn't do any further education past undergrad, like I would have had a lot harder of a time finding something to do right now than like, I'm a business major, I have my degree in marketing. There are many more jobs out there for this in-between period of my life where I'm like, am I going to go back to school? Am I going to go to law school? What am I going to do with my life? Like, at least I can get a marketing job in the meantime. Study what your heart desires, study what's best for you. I'm just saying, I think for me, it did make sense at the end of the day to study business. I didn't love it, but it did make the most sense. So I feel like I chose a school very much based on COVID learning in general. And like, obviously I'm going to be inside of my room all the time. Am I going to be inside of my room in New York and pay 3 times as much or whatever the case may be? Or am I going to do it at home? The obvious answer is do it at home. I think I also had a very all over the place experience when it came to like living on campus and truly being integrated into like college campus culture. Freshman year was completely online. My first semester of sophomore year, I commuted. I really only lived 40 minutes away from campus, so it made sense to commute and to save money. And I was able to keep my job at home and like work, go to school, work after school. My school also has free shuttles that take you from like this shuttle stop that's literally 10 minutes away from where I was living. 10-15 minutes away, shuttle stop. Pull up to the shuttle stop. Shuttle takes you to the school for free. And there's multiple buses that run throughout the day. I'm like talking big on the bus situation, but I actually hated taking the bus, mostly because there weren't enough buses, in my opinion, to make me feel like I wasn't wasting my time at school. My last class would end at 4 o'clock, and I would have just missed the last bus by 10 minutes. And then I have to wait until 7 o'clock for the next bus to come. I'm not trying to be here for 2-3 hours dilly-dallying. I will say, while I'm saying I was dilly-dallying, low-key I wasn't, because I would like go to the library or maybe get dinner with a friend or something. So it wasn't horrible, but it was just like, bruh, I want to go home. Like, this is not my home. I want to go home. I want to get in my bed. That was first semester sophomore year. Second semester sophomore year, I lived on campus in a dorm. Junior year, I lived in an apartment on campus with some friends. And then senior year, I only needed to take a semester worth of classes. So I commuted and I drove myself at that point because I only had classes twice a week. I feel like I just had a very all over the place experience. I think majorly due to COVID and like that first year being online, like I didn't even care to go on campus at first. And then I was like, nah, I gotta go, bruh. But then I was like, but it's so expensive. COVID impacted my school decision, my living situation. I feel like because I didn't have that stable, like, oh, all 4 years you go on campus, which not everybody does that, but I feel like it was so all over the place, like, oh, online, commute. Okay, live on campus. Okay, commute again. And that was kind of a lot to do. COVID impacted where I decided to go to school, the type of school that was appealing to me. That's kind of how I feel like COVID impacted me education-wise. I also feel like COVID very much impacted my personality. Again, this is not something that I think is unique by any means. I 100% think it's actually very common. I feel like I was a lot more social when I was in high school, and like willing to talk to people. I just feel like that changed so much after COVID. Now, like I kind of retreat in social situations. I became so shy that like even with people that I knew in high school that I was friends with, like I never really asked them to go out, or like I never really asked to go out with them because I'm just like, people are scaring me. I mean, it's so obvious why after being isolated for like over a year, you would come out like not as ready to socialize. I feel like that definitely happened for me. And honestly, I'm someone who was kind of used to being alone anyway, but you're really alone in isolation. Not that I never talk to my friends. We have FaceTime and stuff. I kind of also come from a quieter type of family. Like everyone is very much okay with doing their own thing. So it's not like my family got particularly close during COVID either. So it's just like, you're alone. I feel like I came out of that feeling like just very nervous to talk to people, I think, and not fully ready to socialize. I feel like it took me a long time. I feel like I didn't start to truly make close friends until my junior year. And that was because like I got an internship that turned into a job, that I made friends through that. I'm not trying to say like, oh, I didn't have any friends in college, but I just feel like it took me a long time to get there. Maybe it takes everybody a long time. I really don't know. I felt like I was watching people make friends, but I was not making friends. Everybody from my high school went to University of Maryland. And I think it's kind of funny. I feel like it's a running joke a little bit that people are like, oh, like college is so big. Like even if people from your high school go, you know, campus is so big that like you aren't going to see anyone from high school. Hey, so that's a lie. I'm not talking about like people that I was friends with, because if I purposely am going to see you, then that's like, I can't really complain about seeing too many people from high school if I choose to remain friends with them. But random people that I just like recognize from high school, having classes with them, I still saw them on campus, y'all. Like, don't let them lie to you. I do feel like a lot of people probably made the same decision as me and just decided to stay closer to home because of COVID. So maybe that's why, but I don't think a day passed where I did not see people from high school. I just feel like it took me a really long time to make friends. Got there eventually, but obviously that can be a pretty lonely experience. I feel like I'm still reeling from that a little bit. I feel like I'm just so quiet, like I'm not saying a word, and I know that people are probably like, bro, you're so off-putting, but it's like, I'm not trying to be. And I can be talkative. It's hard because I feel like I'm right now at this part of my life in many situations where I'm meeting new people, whether it be at church or my friends are introducing me to their friends and whatever. Like I do know 100% that I show up very quiet. Like I'm becoming very quiet in those situations. I think I've kind of always been like that. Like once the group starts to get a little too big, I'm like, you know what? Let me shut up, because I'm not about to be running this group and like being the loudest person here. But it literally gets to a point multiple times where people are like, are you gonna talk? Can I say something on behalf of quieter people in social situations? Sometimes we're actually fine. A lot of times, like I'm good, and you turning to me and being like, can you say something, is actually, you're making it worse. I love you, you're low-key making it worse. Saying all that to say that, yes, well, I do think that's a little bit naturally who I am. I also think, like, when I was in high school, that was not an issue, really. Like, people would notice that I could get quiet, but it wasn't to the point where they were like, oh my gosh, Adana, like, are you good? You haven't said a word the entire day. Like, it was never that. It was never that. And that, I think, is a change that happened because of COVID and because of isolation. Overall, I think that COVID definitely changed like how I approached my education, where I decided to go to school, what I was looking for in a school. That's how I feel like it affected my education. And then I think, again, on an interpersonal level, just became a lot more socially anxious. I don't think my shyness or my tendency to retreat in social situations is completely like because of COVID. I think I was like that in high school sometimes too, but I just think it got crazy bad throughout the duration of COVID. And it's at the point where now I'm like, nah, bruh, like you're a little too old to be this nervous of people. No, I don't know, whatever. I'm I'm gonna be better, probably. I will say, I think that there were some good things that came out of COVID. One, I feel like I got really close with my coworkers, and I don't think that would have happened if like we had all gone off to college and stuff. I have one friend who I think I'm really close with that I met at work. We're in the same class, and we were both, doing virtual learning at home. And I feel like that was the time when we got the closest and actually got to know each other. And now it's like she's literally one of my best friends. I think certain friendships would not have been able to blossom if it wasn't for COVID. For me, like at work, I think at school, my friendships faltered, but at work, they got stronger. So I gotta, appreciate that, because now the friends that I met at work are like my main friends, you know what I mean? Like that's who I spend my birthdays with and stuff like that. So gotta love it. I also think that on the same topic of work, I worked way more than I think I would have if I went off to college and lived on campus for all 4 years, because I commuted and I took classes online and stuff like that. I was able to work when I was living on campus. Obviously, I wasn't working daily, but even then, like I would sometimes come home on weekends. I would work, because I chose a college that was so close to home. Like I had the privilege of being able to come home sometimes if I needed money and work, or coming home during spring break, winter break, Thanksgiving weekend, whatever, and working. So I feel like that was a blessing. I was making money, so can't be ashamed or upset about that. I don't think I ever would have got my license if it wasn't for COVID, because in high school, I just didn't really have someone at home to teach me how to drive. My mom was not trying to teach me how to drive, y'all. Like, we tried, honest to God, we tried. Teaching someone how to drive is scary. I taught my sister how to drive. It's not easy. Like, I understand why my mom was like, okay, no, immediately no. Like, the moment I'd make a mistake on the road, she's like, yeah, pull over. We're switching back. I don't live with my dad, but he was around a little bit in that time. He was able to teach me some stuff, like, behind the wheel, too. I don't think that if I was away at college, like, that would have happened. I took driving lessons that my mom paid for. I think because she was like, okay, if I'm not going to teach you how to drive, at least somebody needs to teach you. I would not have, like, learned how to drive if it wasn't for that, because when I was in high school, like, I literally remember everybody around me was starting to get their license and stuff, and I was just like, there's no one to teach me at home. Like, my mom's not trying to teach me. I don't have any older siblings that I live with, so it's like, I think I'm just not gonna know how to drive for a while. And then once you start thinking about college, you're like, I'm not really gonna have to drive on campus either. For all those reasons, like, driving wasn't really a priority, but the amount of time that I had at home made me be like, okay, I think I actually need to lock in and get my license. And we did exactly that. And now I drive everywhere. I taught my sister how to drive. Like, definitely a blessing in disguise. Even though they feel little, like, oh, becoming closer friends with someone, or getting my license, buying a car, like, if it wasn't for the time I had in isolation, I don't think I would have gotten there. There's honestly so much more that I feel like I could talk about with COVID, but those are the main things I would say. I think another big topic, maybe for a different episode, is I do feel like I became too self-aware and insecure, and I think that probably lent to the, like, social anxiety of it all. Too much time alone, I'm literally like, you start to spiral a little bit. Brain starts to go in places where you're like, okay, I was maybe insecure about this thing before, but now it's like actually taking over my mind. And I feel like I experienced that with a lot of things. Like, I was so sad, guys. Also, I was introduced to Phoebe Bridgers in that time. I don't listen to Phoebe Bridgers anymore for, like, personal reasons, I guess, but the music is wonderful. It is so depressing. Why are you listening to Phoebe Bridgers at 7 a.m., queen? Like, no wonder you're not happy. You didn't even try. You didn't even try to be happy. Like, why are you listening to Alewife by Clairo as soon as you wake up? You didn't stand a chance, my boy. That's a topic for another episode, but we gotta wrap it up, y'all. I literally need to leave for work in 9 minutes. I wanted to rant about AI, but I feel like that's a longer rant that I don't have time for. Probably nobody cares, but if anybody did care about the AI rant, I'm sorry, skipping out on it, because I feel like it's actually a bigger topic, and whatever I rant about, I got like 5 minutes to do it, so, I have to speed it up. Instead, I'll rant about this because I feel like this has been a hot topic amongst my friends recently. Do influencers owe us their political views. Like, if you have a platform, not just influencers, but like famous people in general, celebrities, do they owe us an explanation or to share their political beliefs? I personally believe that yes, they do. As someone who has a lot of political beliefs, I have never like been learning about some political conflict or some political situation and been like, oh, before I make my opinion, what does Taylor Swift think about this? Like, I don't care. But I do think that if you are a celebrity or an influencer and you know you have a lot of sway with people, I think that it's irresponsible to not use your platform to shed light on certain situations. Also, I'm using Taylor Swift as an example, but I think that like a bunch of celebrities do this. Harry Styles does this, like a bunch of them just don't say anything. And I think that's irresponsible and it's mean. And I don't think that they even need to make it so personal. I would even respect a celebrity for sharing like two sides of a conflict or like of some sort of political situation. I would be much more appreciative of like just sharing resources that educate people without fully having to say, hi, my name is so and so and I believe that this is right and this is wrong. Now, do I respect celebrities who do that? 100%. I think that if you have that type of sway with the public, like, you should use your platform wisely. I think that there's people in particular who actually do position themselves in politics only when it's good for them. Taylor Swift is a great example. Like, Taylor Swift is someone who has been very outspoken about politics when it benefits her. That's bad because she has so much to say when it's like, oh, how feminism affects her and how she's viewed in the industry. And I'm not saying that her points on that are not valid, but when Black and brown women are being particularly targeted, she's quiet. And she doesn't have to make a crazy political statement, but as someone who positions themselves as this grand feminist, you would think she could have something to say. Another thing, I think an argument that people make that to me doesn't make any sense. Or not that it doesn't make any sense, but I have a counter argument too. Like, people make the argument that celebrities are businesses, which I 100% agree with, and that because they're businesses, like as a business, you are more likely to stay neutral than choose a side, but which can sometimes make sense. I think celebrities, influencers, whatever, who make political stands in certain situations but not others, actually, if you're thinking about it in a business sense, creates an inconsistent brand image. Because right now I'm looking at Taylor Swift and I'm like, okay, sometimes you have a lot to say about politics and other times you're silent. I, as a consumer, now am drawing the conclusion that you support this issue in this situation, but not this issue. I don't see you as neutral. Again, I don't really agree that celebrities should be on, like, neutral, but if you're going to be neutral, you need to fully be neutral. I think a lot of celebrities speak out sometimes, but not other times, and that is more confusing than if you actually had truly just stayed truly neutral. Most celebrities and influencers do that. They make a political stand or some sort of social commentary that takes them away from that neutral. You already spoke up about other stuff. So right now, you not speaking up about this one thing, to me, feels purposeful and intentional. And I simply have to assume that you are of a different belief than me. I want to know, and again, listen, if you don't tell me, I'm not going to like go in your comments every day and be like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I think that that's equally as weird, especially because I'm not looking to you for, like, I'm going to follow whatever you say. But I do think I like to know, like, if you're racist, let me know. Because if you're racist, I don't want to associate myself with you. I'm not going to go hate on your page or, like, comment a bunch of mean stuff. Like, I don't care to do that at all. But I'm just going to personally, let me bow out, you know? Let me keep my support elsewhere. And I don't think that that is too much to ask. But I also do understand the side of, like, you do not know these people. Again, like I said, I'm not looking to them for, like, my personal opinion. I think I'm not even looking for them to share their personal opinions, but I do think that they should use their platforms to spread information, spread awareness, share resources. I think celebrities, they don't owe us anything, but I like to know because then I can quietly, not hatefully, but quietly bow out, stop supporting you so I can know who I'm supporting for my own peace of mind. Especially if you are political in certain situations but not others, like your brand image is more confusing now because I thought you were political but now you're silent. That doesn't make any sense to me. There's more I could say on that topic, but I'm literally running out of time. My shift starts in 8 minutes from right now, and I'm not home. Granted, I live 5 minutes away, but still, we gotta go. Rant over. Let's tap into media real quick. Media of the week. No book update for you guys. I've been extremely busy. Haven't read a word. My song media this week is I Miss You, Don't Call Me by Alessia Cara. That's the sweater I'm wearing right now. A wonderful song. I think everyone actually should go back because people always make fun of me for listening to Alessia Cara, but like she is so good. In the meantime, great album. I think everybody should go listen to it. But in particular, this song, I Miss You, Don't Call Me. And I would say also Run Away With Me by Carly Rae Jepsen. It came on in the car yesterday and I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a good pop song. And Sunshine Baby by the Japanese House. Also been listening to that. Very good. Love. And then my movie, I recently watched K-pop Demon Hunters. And why was it actually so good? Actually, 5 out of 5 stars. Enjoyed it thoroughly. The music was really good. The plot was really good. K-pop Demon Hunters. That low-key was fight. Thank you guys so much for watching. Sorry if the end of the episode felt rushed. I felt rushed. My shift starts in 6 minutes, so I literally need to go. Thanks for watching another episode of the Bedroom Club podcast. Thanks for joining me again. I'll see you guys next week, hopefully with a better episode. Love ya. Bye!